Thank you. David Johnston.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and it's a pleasure to speak in this debate. During the election campaign, I was doing a street stall in Wantage when a woman from Zambia came up to me wanting to talk about Brexit. Now, Wantage and Didcot was 54% Remain, so this conversation could have gone either way. But she was in favour of Brexit. And she said to me she'd been working in the NHS for 9 years, but she couldn't get settled status. Yet if she was from Europe and had been here for 5 years, she'd have been able to. Now, it's right, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that we have a settled status scheme for those in the EU, and the fact that 3.5 million people have already applied for it suggests it's working very well. But this lady's question to me was, what about the Commonwealth countries? What about Britain's relationship with those? And I agree with her, and I think it's right that we now have an immigration system based on what we need, rather than based around whether you're from Europe or not. There's been quite a bit of discussion about the NHS and social care this afternoon, and completely understandably. I welcome the government's commitment to a fast-track visa for doctors and nurses, and their extension of the health worker visa by a year if it was going to expire before October the 1st. I also think it's absolutely clear to all of us, as if it weren't before, what a vital role those from other countries have been playing in our social care system. We knew this for decades, but it's had a highlight on it in recent months. But where I part from some of the other speakers on the opposite side of the House is in thinking that because of that, we should continue to import our care workers from overseas. The answer to social care is in a cross-party solution where we properly fund it, properly structure it, and where it is seen as a well-regarded profession. It is not to keep doing what we've done for decades, because if we keep doing that, we will only put off into the future the solution that this really needs. It's worth saying that those from the EU who are working in our care system at the moment have probably already applied for settled status and are certainly entitled to do so. I wanted to make a similar but different point in relation to higher education. Now, I welcome us being a magnet for global talent. I think it's right we continue to attract international students, and that we've committed to a 2-year work visa so that they can find work after they've graduated. But I've watched with increasing despair as certain universities have chased a higher and higher proportion of international students that they can charge high fees for low contact time to, whilst often neglecting to widen access to young people who are underrepresented in this country from their institution. Again, the question is, why are they so reliant on the international fee income and the international market? That's the fundamental question, which can't be solved by changing the immigration bill. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I support the government in the income threshold, having lowered that from £30,000 to £25,600. I think it's right that it's lower still for those where we have a shortage, occupations where we have a shortage of people. And it's also very valuable that we're going to have a seasonal worker visa, which particularly for a constituency like Wantage and Didcot with a lot of farming will be very important. It's completely correct that this House should continue to debate whether those income thresholds are right, whether the occupation lists are right, whether we get the point system right. But the most important part about this legislation is that these things will now be within our control. We will be able to adjust those income thresholds, those occupation lists, and those points. And if you talk to the vast majority of British people, they support immigration, they welcome it, they can see the contribution it's made to every aspect of our life. But they expect that the people they democratically elect should be able to control the flow, to increase it or decrease it. And importantly, Mr. Deputy Speaker, they expect that those people they elect will properly plan the infrastructure that needs to accompany immigration, that we will have the school places, the GP appointments, the houses that we need to go alongside it. And that's why they have supported the ending of freedom of movement and moving to this new system that we are going to have. And that's why I fully support this change too.